Right, let's tackle referencing, Harvard referencing system. We might do this and we're looking tomorrow. Yeah, so we talked about referencing, when you need to do it, when you're mentioning other people's ideas, and that could be in direct quotations, using their words, or most of the time it's going to be your paraphrase of their ideas, or summary. So we're on page 3, and we talked about two elements, two components to a reference, in text, and the full details of the reference list. Let's look at in-text references. They're the easy bit. The reference list is the harder thing. But in a text, it's provided each time you refer to ideas or information from another source. You need the family name. Don't include the given names, or don't even put their initials. It's not Hudson J, just put Hudson. It could be a body or organisation. It doesn't have to be an individual. It could be the CSIRO 2014 or UNESCO 2011. Not a problem. You don't have to have an individual. The year of publication. That might be publication on a website. It doesn't have to be hard copy. It's just when was it published. Page numbers where applicable. We'll come to page numbers when you need them in a minute. Here are two ways of presenting the in-text. One way gives prominence, and this is the key word, prominence to the information. It's called information prominent method, because you place the reference at the end of your sentence in brackets. Universities can play an active role in finding solutions to climate change. Philo 2010, page 2. So in that sentence, the information is prominent and dominant, not who wrote it. However, the other way is you give prominence to the author by placing the reference in the body of your sentence. So it's actually part, have a look at the author now. The author here is part of the grammar of the sentence. The author's name is incorporated into the sentence structure, and the date is in brackets. So it's only the date now that's in brackets. Philo, 2010, page 2, argues that universities can play an active role in finding solutions to climate change. Can you see how that one, it highlights or emphasises the author, doesn't it? Now, especially when, if you're discussing something and you want to say, Philo thinks this, but Hudson believes this. On the other hand, Stevenson says, da 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 da. So if you're looking especially at difference of opinion between people, then that's probably a useful and the most effective method. However, if your focus is on the information and who said it was less important, then you'll be doing the first way, with the information prominent.
Lucy in this article says, states, Professor blah 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 say the climate change is will coming soon, blah blah like that.
Hang on, but you said Lucy says.
Lucy states.
Lucy. Okay, for a start, Lucy's a first name, so you wouldn't. It'd all be surnames.
Okay.
So what's Lucy's surname?
Or
Smith.
Or Smith. Okay, Smith in this article stated Professor blah blah talking about the climate change is coming, is real. Can I say that from there?
You mean Smith states that Professor Stevenson states that climate change is real. Is that
because
what you mean?
the professor talking about in her article.
Yeah, so you're still on this thing of you've read something in an article but you want to refer to that. We're going to have to keep that. This is primary and secondary.
Okay.
I know you asked me yesterday on that.
Because I already
We're going to get there. We're going to get there, but I want to cover. You understand it better if we cover all this first, because it is a kind of common thing, but we need to do all the basics first. Yeah. So, are we clear on that? There are these two basic ways of referencing there. Notice the difference grammatically though. The first one, philo, is not part of the sentence, are they? They're just all in the bracket. Whereas the author becomes grammatically connected. So I've pointed out kind of when you do that. There's no real strict rule about that. Just, you know, let your feeling be the guide there as to whether you want to emphasise the author or... I think the dominant form is the first one. Usually the information is the key in an argument or an explanation or whatever. Sometimes you want to give prominence to who said it. Okay, page numbers.
Is it possible to use both of them?
In an essay, absolutely. You often have a mix within an essay or an article or whatever. Yeah.
In my essay, I found the PDF article on the website, and this PDF have a page number. So I have to mention the page number?
Let's get to page numbers now and see if this answers your question. And if not, I'll deal with it.
Not hard copy.
No, sure. No, I understand. I'll comment on that after we look at the basics and the page number rules. You need to include page numbers when you quote part of a source word for word. So a direct quote, you need a page number. When you summarise or paraphrase an idea from a specific page or pages, you're reading a book, it's page 37, there's this key idea. Or you have a table, a figure, image, graphs, etc., statistics, dates. Have a look at this one. Pat Paybell, 2007, page 48, notes, okay, is this information prominent or author prominent? Author prominent, right. Notes that the novelist, quote, here's a direct quote, draws on an established tradition of appropriating the wayang for various social and political purposes. Right in Indonesia there. If you do these things for a source without pages, for example a website, then just author and year will suffice. You might not have seen that word. Think of sufficient. Be sufficient, yes. So will suffice, will be enough, will be sufficient. It's a useful little verb, that one, when you want to say something is sufficient. You use that verb form.
But still, if we download a book from website, we need to put the picture. Is that right?
Now, okay, so that last comment at the bottom, you're on a website and it's just a web page. Lots of web pages don't have page numbers, do they? So you've got a graph from that website, you can't put a page number. You get a direct quote from that website, you can't put a page number. It just doesn't exist, so you can't do it. Fine. However, in Hannah's case, so lots of, some websites do. You download it, it's a PDF document, it's got page 43 there, you get your quote from that, you've got to say page 43. Right, or you download a whole book, electronic book, and it's page 457 that you get your graph from, okay, page 457. You see the point? Where it exists, and you're doing one of those things. So where there is specific information, direct quote, graph, statistic, whatever, specific idea, and your document has page numbers, whether it's hard copy or electronic, makes no difference, you put your page number. Now, sometimes, even if you've downloaded a PDF, and it's got pages 1 to 247, okay? Now, if you are mentioning the main idea of that whole piece, so, for example, Harvey, 2013, argues that capitalism has 17 key contradictions. Right? That's from the David Harvey book. Now that idea is through the whole book. you can't put a page number, can you?
Yeah.
So here's the point. If you're mentioning an idea, that runs right through the article, the chapter, the document, the book, whatever it is. And even if you talk about it at quite some length and write not just a sentence like I did, but a whole paragraph, you know, but that idea is still in many, many pages of that book, and it's the kind of dominant idea, you don't put a page number. However, if it says, Harvey observes that the profit rate of capitalism currently is only 12%, that's on page 217. That's a specific idea, isn't it? It doesn't go all through the book. Page number. Get the idea? So,
Why you mentioned about the article on the website, sometimes they do have an author's name, but they say this name posted on which day. There is no author's name, but the name is for the post. Posted on such and such.
Posted.
Day. Yeah, posted.
Yeah.
Do we use that name or?
What name? Posted.
Yeah.
No, you can't say posted is a person's name. It's not. That if it says posted on, and it's got a particular date, September the 2nd, 2014.
But they do have the name there, the person posted on that day, but there is no author's name in there. Like ABC news article. And then a lot of them, they say posted by Smith.
You mean it's like a forum and people just chatting, or they're putting a proper article up there?
I don't know, ABC News article. I went there. And then they posted a certain year 2014, 2nd of November, like that.
Yeah.
But
You mean where is the author?
There is no author.
There is no author.
Just
Okay.
ABC News.
And then it becomes ABC News. That becomes the author. Okay, so here's the rule
Then I
with authors. You know, and if you can't find an author, so you first of all look for an individual. Can't find it? No. All right. Then organisation. Is there an organisation? Answer: no. I mean, if there is, then use it, right? So individual, yes. Use it. Use the person's name. Organisation, use it. CSIRO. But if you're getting no's, then the title of the piece becomes the author in the last resort. Alright? Now, the problem is with that is logos, ethos, pathos. How's your ethos going? How's your credibility going? How's your believability? You don't know who wrote the thing. Could be anybody, couldn't it? Could be somebody from Mars. You know? It's really down here. It's unreliable.
Organization's okay.
Yeah. So in that case, ABC. Yeah. Now, you know, that's a reputable organisation with pretty high ethos, not a problem.
Like one article was a Greenpeace.
Yeah.
Greenpeace.
Okay. So that's an organisation.
Yeah.
That's Greenpeace 2013.
But they posted on 2014.
Okay. So that's Greenpeace 2014.
Okay.
So normally with the ABC, they have transcript at the very bottom. Normally they have the author or whoever the person.
Yeah, that's right. On the ABC, and it depends. On the Drum, for example, which is a comment website where people write opinions, you'll see individual authors. On certain transcripts, you've just got to look, and your first job is to get that. But if you can't, then you move to that. Yeah.
But not the poster, that name. The person who posts.
No.
No.
Okay, over the page. A reference list. So everything you put in your essay, in text, is going to have more details. And those details go at the very end, not in the essay. The reason is, if you imagine if you put all the detail in the essay, it would really interrupt the reading, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So the idea is to keep that short, just the surname, the year, and the page number if necessary. Right, reference list, full bibliographic details, meaning biblio, book, graphic, recorded. All the information recorded for all the sources referred to in your assignment, so that readers can easily locate them. And as I've said, every different source in the essay has a matching entry in the reference list. Okay, it's not a bibliography. There's a difference. Bibliography is everything you might have read. So maybe you've read already, have a think about your essay now. You might have read a few articles or websites and you're not using them. You haven't referred to them because they weren't that useful. Or they were quite useful, the way your essay turned out, you just didn't use them. Alright, now a bibliography would include those. If someone said, write me a bibliography, it means all that you've read, whether you used it or not. Reference list is only stuff you've used. Now be careful with that, because a lot of lecturers, when they say, make sure you have a bibliography, just ask them what they mean. Do you mean a reference list? Or, a lot of lecturers use bibliography in a very inaccurate way. They're really meaning reference list, but they use this word. Okay, so just be aware of that. 99% of the time, they want a reference list, but they use that word. I mean, they don't really want to know all the books you read that didn't use. What's the point of that? Okay. Bibliographies can be useful, real bibliography. Sometimes at the end of books, non-fiction books, it's like, sometimes it's called further reading on the topic, and there's a list of maybe 50 books. Sometimes they use the word bibliography. There's a record of all the books that are useful, that author thinks is useful on the subject. So there is a real use for them, but very rarely in student essays. Okay. You just title up references, not reference list. You arrange it alphabetically by author's family name or organisation. It's a single list. You don't have one list for books, one list for articles, one list for electronic. It's all mixed in together. And the main elements are author, year, title, and then publication information, whatever it is, website or book or whatever. Let's have a look at a couple of examples there. Okay, pointing out single line spacing, and then you leave a space. So we can clearly see there are 3 entries there. No indentation, you just keep the same margin. Let's have a look at the first one. Judd D, Sitzman K, and Davey GM. How many authors? 3. Good. And you don't put a dot after D. Right. These are the fussy little rules. We're getting into the fussy little rules here now. Judd, comma, then that person's initial. Deirdre or David or whatever. But you don't put a dot. Normally you would, wouldn't you? But you don't in referencing. Just put a comma. Sitzman, comma, K. Now we don't put a comma. There's no Oxford comma. Notice that. And then you do an and with that symbol. That symbol has a name. It's called an ampersand. That thing on the keyboard that looks sort of like that. That's an ampersand. You don't write AND. You use that. You've got to use them in reference lists.
John, I've heard after to older, you have to say et al.
Et al.
But they brought 3 names.
Yeah, okay, now you do et al. We'll probably get to that later. But you do et al. In your in-text reference. But when you come to your reference list, you've got to list everybody. Everybody in the team. Could have been 30 people working on it. You've got to list everybody. So you don't do et al. In your reference list. Okay, GM. Davey GM. Now notice there's not a comma. So you don't have a comma between your author or your last author and the year. No comma. So the only exception. Basically, each element, author, year, title, publication details, you separate them with commas. We'll see that in a second. However, for some reason, the rule is, after author, between author and year, no comma. 2010, comma. A History of American Nursing Trends and Eras. That is the title. What? Italics, right. Remember? Title in italics. Title in italics. Title in italics, right. Now, so you put it in italics. What do we notice about capital letters in that title?
Name and
The first word, doesn't it? A, but history does not get a capital. America gets a capital because it always has a capital. It's the name of the country, it's an adjective form. Nursing is not capitalised, trends is not capitalised, and eras is not capitalised. So, the modern way of writing titles in referencing is your first word gets the capital, the rest do not, unless they're names like American. Now we'll see some exceptions to that, but that's the dominant rule. Okay, now this is a book. We can tell it's a book because look what comes next. Jones and Bartlett. What's that?
publisher.
Publisher, right. They get capitals often because they're like the families, aren't they? Jones and Bartlett, that's the name of the company. So name of company gets capitals. Notice it's AND, it's not the ampersand. So in the company title, you write AND, comma, end of that element, that's your publisher element, comma, place of publication, London. Full stop. Always have your full stops at the end of the whole thing. You don't put London, UK. Now, here's the rule on that one. So many rules. If the place is a capital city of the state, then you don't put the state or the country. But, Alex, have you got your David Williamson with you?
Yeah.
You mean
No.
if the
I'll show you because I'll do the opposite case. This one I think I remember. Here's a book, so we write out the publisher. Yeah. So I won't write out the whole thing, but we have David Williamson, 1983, The Perfectionist. Okay, now we're going to do publisher, currency. They're just called currency, yep. And it's Paddington. Now then it says New South Wales. Now, is Paddington the capital of New South Wales? No, think of your map of week 1. What's the capital of New South Wales?
Sydney.
Sydney, right. So if we had Sydney there, then we'd have nothing, because it's the capital. But here's this little, where the hell is Paddington, you know? It could be Victoria, you know, Perth, no one really knows. So therefore, New South
Can
Wales.
we say Australia?
No comment.
Between
I don't
Paddington
think
and...
so. So check that one. No, I don't think you have your comment there.
Oh,
Yeah. But, you know, if you see Sydney, people know where Sydney is, so you don't have anything.
Can we add up in the end Australia? Or?
No. No, you won't.
Other country.
Yeah. That's it, yeah.
We just copy what the book said.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Although, you know, just keep your eye on that rule. Make sure you do that. Yeah. But yeah, if you follow what the book says, it'll probably be right. All right. So I'll just as we go through each one, the rules will emerge. So that's a book. So is the next one. quite a few people there. Same idea of team. You've got your ampersand at the end there, haven't you? 1999. No comma before the year. Diagnostic nuclear medicine, see the capitals? Just the first D. Comma, Williams and Wilkins. That's interesting, they've used the ampersand there. And they didn't in the other one. I guess whatever the book says, isn't it? Like Hannah says. What does your bibliographical detail in your book say? Do that, yeah. Comma, Baltimore. Now Baltimore, capital. It's the US, capital of, geography lesson here. Which state? It's near Washington there, so.
Why they didn't add
Pennsylvania? No. No. Google map, Google Earth please, quickly.
As you said, John, they need to say where is it, UK or US or?
No, that's right, you don't say the country.
Why? Because you said when you don't have any.
Yeah. Then look, I've said the state, but okay, this one, Baltimore, is like Sydney. It's the capital.
You know, we don't know where.
I know.
Maryland.
Where?
Maryland.
Maryland, thank you. Yeah, I know, cultural information, sure. But,
But for those who don't know the
Then we
everything
have to
in the
Google and
world.
find
yeah,
it.
then Google Earth will be your friend, alright, when you come to referencing. Alright, next one, Whittemore, 2009. Now, okay, interesting here. We haven't got a book, what have we got here?
Journal.
Journal. Right, what's the name of the journal? Canadian Journal of Nursing Research, right. What are the capitals doing in that?
I think it's the topic.
Canadian, capital K, capital J, capital N, capital R, breaking the rule, isn't it? Right, here's the rule. For journals, you use capitals. For all information words, not of or and, these little grammar words that stick the thing together, so you don't capitalise. But your information words, you capitalise. You do it for journals. Why these exceptions? Why make these fussy little exceptions? Just to make it hard for students so lecturers can enjoy failing people? Yes. But there's another more important reason. Imagine you are a researcher, you're doing your PhD or you're a professor or whatever. You're a librarian. You're dealing with this sort of information all the time, aren't you? You can look, at a glance, I can look at that, and because it's got capitals, I know it's a journal. I know it's not a book. I don't have to ask myself, because some books sound like journals, and some journals sound like books, but if I look at that straight away, bingo, in a microsecond, I know that's a journal. That's why there are all these rules. Every single fussy little rule does have a reason to ultimately make life easier. So it's a hard road in the first 2 weeks while you're learning this stuff, but really, once you're there, it actually helps.
Excuse me, John.
Yeah.
Okay, Canadian Journal of Nursing Research is the title of the journal.
That's right. That's the title of the journal. Now, what we have to get clear is that, I have mentioned this before, we'll recycle the idea. We have a journal here. Now, a journal, academic journal, is like a magazine, kind of, and it comes out, most of them come out every 3 months, they call them quarterlies, sometimes once a month, sometimes once a year, every 6 months, whatever. It's some regular period, most common every 3 months. But there's your journal. Now, within your journal, you have a series of articles. You don't have just 1, 2, 4, 6, you might have 7 different articles. And they're all on slightly different topics. So, do you remember the idea that this thing is the container? The journal, sorry, maybe I'll be clearer. The journal is the container, and in the container are various articles. So the rule is this. The container has italics. Because let's have a look at what we've got here. Look at the first. We've got two titles here, haven't we? The first title, How Can Nursing Intervention Research Reduce the Research Practice Gap? That's one title. That's the title of the article. Now we've got the title of the journal, Canadian Journal of Nursing Research. This is more complex than a book. With a book we've just got one title, italics. It's clear, isn't it? Now we've got two titles. Which one are we going to put in italics? The rule is that the container